Let's continue our work with factoring trinomials now by factoring some trinomials whose leading coefficient is other than 1 and also that does not have any greatest common factor other than the number 1. Our first one is 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. There's no greatest common factor other than the number 1, and my leading coefficient here is not the number 1, it's something different. However, if this factors, it factors into the product of two binomials such that when I multiply their first two terms together, I get 2x squared, and when I multiply their last two terms together, I get 3. So let's try 2x and x to multiply and give me 2x squared, and let's try 3 and 1 to multiply and give me 3. Now inside I have 3x, outside I have 2x, and there's no combination of 3x and 2x that I can add or subtract and get 7x. So instead of 3 and 1 right here, what I'm going to do is try 1 and 3. Now 1 times 3 is still 3, so my last term works out, but inside I have 1 times x, which is 1x. Outside I have 2 times 3x, which is 6x, and you can see that 1x plus 6x does add up to 7x. So all I need to do is put in two plus signs, and I have the two factors of 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. Remember, if this trinomial factors into the product of these two binomials right here, that these two binomials are unique. There is no other way to factor this by writing down the product of two binomials. So this is sort of a trial and error method. Our next problem, 4y squared minus 11y minus 3. I'll do the same thing. Assume that it factors into the product of two binomials. I want to multiply and get 4y squared. Let's try 2y and 2y. And then I want to multiply the last two terms and get 3. Let's try 3 and 1. Inside is 6y, outside is 2y. There's no way that 6y and 2y will ever add up to 11y. If I change this to 1 and 3, it's not going to make any difference because these are both 2's. So let's try instead 4y and 1y. Now my first two terms, 4y times y is 4y squared. My last ones, 3 times 1 is 3, but now inside I have 3y, outside I have 4y, and that still won't work. There's no way to add those up and get 11y. So let's try instead of 3 and 1, 1 and 3. Inside I have 1y, outside I have 4y times 3, outside I have 3 times 4y, which is 12y, and 1y and 12y, they have a difference of 11y. Since this is minus 11y, I want my 12y to be negative and my 1y to be positive. So I'll make that positive and that negative. And let's see if I've got this right. 4y times y will give me 4y squared. 1 times negative 3, negative 3. Inside is 1y, outside is negative 12y, and sure enough, those add up to negative 11y. So these are, in fact, the two factors of this polynomial. Here's another problem. 3x squared minus xy minus 14y squared. If it factors into the product of two binomials. Let's try 3x and x for my first two terms because their product is 3x squared. Now I want to multiply over here and get 14y squared. I could multiply 7 times 2. So let's try 7y and 2y. 7y times 2y is 14y. Inside I have 7xy. Outside I have 6xy. Those will add up to negative 1xy if that is negative and that's positive. The 6xy, I want it positive. It came from 2y times 3y, so I'll make that positive. The 7xy, I want it to be negative. It came from 7y times x, so I'll make that negative. So there are the two factors for this trinomial right here. And again, it's a trial and error method. We put two terms in first to make their product work out to this first term, two terms in here second, so that their product comes out to be the last term. Then we juggle things around until we get that middle term correct. Let's try one more problem. 10a cubed minus 6a squared minus 4a. The first thing I notice here is that I have a greatest common factor other than 1. 2 divides each of those coefficients, and a divides each of the variable parts. So I'm going to factor a 2a out. What's left is 5a squared minus 3a minus 2. Now I'll factor the polynomial that remains. I want to multiply two numbers right here and get 5a squared. So let's try 5a and a. I want to multiply here and get 2, and then I want to add inside and outside and get 3a. So let's try 2a, or 2 and 1. Inside is 2a, outside is 5a. Those will add up to, or add up to 3a, and it'll be negative if the 5a is negative and the 2a is positive. So I'll make that plus and that minus. And here are the three factors of this polynomial right here. 2a is one of the factors, 5a plus 2 is another factor, and a minus 1 is the third factor.